I'm not saying all black women, but sometimes I just am like, we're really going with this. I mean, there's points where it's funny and actually kind of cute. Like the first look from Gladiator 2 dropped. The first images from Gladiator. Now, first of all, I had no plans of seeing no goddamn Gladiator 2. One was fine. One
Well,
gave
not
her.
until I heard that Pedro Pascal is in it.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal was in it. I still wasn't sold. I was like, are we really doing this? Really, really, really? No one asked for this.
No
But then
one.
they dropped the picture of Denzel. Let me tell you
Wait,
something.
Denzel's in this?
Yes.
All right. All
See?
right. Fine. Fine.
See? Denzel got people going, oh, here, damn.
By the way, what's your favorite ever Denzel performance?
Woo! I sent my sentimental favorite because it got me through one of the worst heartbreaks of my life. You know the one was Malcolm X. Don't ask me how that worked, but it just hit me in a place where I needed to be.
It doesn't have to
But
be related to or hit the same buttons as the thing you're going through. Sometimes it's like, we don't eat ice cream at 12 a.m. because we need ice cream at 12 a.m.
oh, I got a lot of thoughts about ice cream. But actually my other favorite Denzel performance, let me see. As much as even after learning the real story, I still cannot say no to Remember the Titans. I still can't. I
Mine,
know the real story. Still love it.
well, I mean, as with anything else, the movies, even if the movies just do a shit show on the real life story, unless the implications socially are like some big, like,
Yeah.
if the movie helped inspire us to go to war and it was like a really unjustified war, then we can say, yeah, making up the facts was bad and led to a lot of people dying. But if you're just fudging like a football team's thing, I don't really care.
Yeah, no one cares. But yeah, no, Remember the Titans. That shit was lit.
My
Lit.
favorite is Flight. Like 100%.
Fair. Nah, that's fair. Like it's a lovely little dark half. It's a dark half sequel to Scully. To Sully. Let's all be honest with ourselves. It's a dark half sequel.
Yeah.
It's a dark sequel and I live for it.
I think he really played addiction very well. And I think there's an element of addiction that doesn't get played with enough. And I think people who do this right are the people who like there's this part of addiction that doesn't get played enough in media, I think, whereas it's somebody who like really wants to be a better person and constitutionally can't.
And yeah, it's like yes. But yeah, like I said, I think it was like the moment, the picture of Denzel Washington, the hoop earring, the sumptuous robes, the
I haven't seen any of
throne.
this.
But immediately, Auntie Twitter, Black Auntie Twitter, packing for Essence Fest Twitter was like, oh no, bitch, I'm gonna see this. Like people, like, and now I'm like, people are gonna have to explain to the aunties this film is gonna be a violent film. This is
I am
not
very
gonna
sorry
be.
for those of you who have to hear this. Sasha, what are you doing?
This is going to be a violent film. This is going to be a film with a lot of blood in it. Yeah, they wearing robes. This is not the robe though. Yeah, there's horses. This is not Ben-Hur though. It's not that. It's not those girls. This is a different kind of girl. Don't worry, you will see Denzel. He may wield a sword. He may wear them short robes that Roman soldiers wear. We don't know. All you know is you saw him in sumptuous purple robes and a hoop earring. Panties got wet, and you immediately decided, "Oh no, I'm seeing this shit." And the way I hate Ridley Scott for playing on our emotions like that. That wasn't cool, Ridley.
Ridley Scott is one of those guys that like he effortlessly knocks it out of the park sometimes, and it makes his failures that much more inexplicable. Like Prometheus, or like It just like, or I think Exodus. It's just like you know better. You've done better. What is
Like,
this?
yeah, like we know you capable of better. Why did you do this? What's getting
And
me right now is that people don't even know what role he plays, and you've already got white nationalists saying, "How can you have a black man play anything in Rome?" I'm like,
I'm
I
sorry.
hope the
Where was
ghost.
Rome? Where was Rome?
I'm like, I
How
hope the
far did
ghost
that
of.
empire extend?
I'm
Just
like, I hope the ghost of Septimius Service teabags you in your sleep, sir.
I'm just like,
We're
I'm sorry. Like,
tired.
did black people not leave the continent until like the
1978.
1400s? Like what?
That's what happened. They didn't leave the continent until 1978. That's what they believe. I'm guessing they didn't think black. They think black people just miraculously left the continent in 1978 and showed up in Britain.
It's like when they complain about like diversity in fantasy stories, and I'm like, okay, so the spell casting you were cool with, but like
You were cool
melanin
with the fish
has got you like,
person. You were cool with the fish person, but the moment Jama and Hansu shows up, y'all get all weird. You were cool with the dude coming
and
back to life
quite
and picking his
frankly,
head off
Jaimin
the
Hansu
ground.
doesn't show up enough.
That part.
Like the last thing I remember seeing him in was Guardians of the Galaxy,
And from,
and and
I
that
mean,
was the first thing I remember seeing him in since The Island.
and I'm like, yeah, we do need more of him. He's underrated. The fact that we don't get enough of Jaman Hansu, it's a sign that Hollywood doesn't know what it's doing with black people or people who aren't white, or the fact that Lily Gladstone is probably gonna kill it in Fancy Dance.
Sorry
Lily
again,
Glad,
everybody. Sasha, get the
I
fuck. Oh my god.
Sasha's movie opinion. Sasha knows that she got trash movie opinions. That's why she acting like this.
I feel like I should.
Um,
I feel like I should slip them all something before I do these shows.
you might. I keep telling my roommate he should give his dog Prozac and see what happens.
I feel like I should use some Prozac.
Try it on the
Especially
dogs first.
now that we've delayed the inevitable. We got to talk about it.
Mm,
We got to talk about it. I sat down to watch the debate last Thursday, and
I didn't finish it.
I will admit, it's not that I had high hopes, it's that I assumed it was going to be fine because we all remember, because we were worried about the State of the Union. We were worried. We thought,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I don't think he's got it anymore. He's been slowing down. He's like, and then he showed up and he's like, all right, he's surprising. I mean, I didn't expect him to knock it out of the park again. 81 years old. I expected him to just, be a regular 81-year-old. But he, showed a lot of energy and he, dealing with a prepared speech, but all the same, it was
Yeah.
a sizable amount of time. I think I was
I
fine with it, and I was mildly surprised. So for this, I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
think we both were like, "Hey, that wasn't so bad." We this was not this was we gave him a I think we gave him a passing grade for that. That was a B minus performance. We were
if
like,
he performed
"Hey,
that way at the debate, I was going to be like, this is fine. I really hate
yeah,
that, we're being ruled by, octogenarians, but like, I mean, this
we
is
could
fine.
do worse. This is
And
fine."
then,
The
good
actual debate
God,
happened. And it was like he had a touch of the con. It was like he had more than a touch of the con crud. For those of you, y'all know what the con crud is. I was I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked, but I was just like, well, I'm glad. It was like, well, I'm glad this happened in July and not in September, which
this
is
was,
literally the only thing, which is literally one thing a lot of people are hanging their hats on. A lot of the people
I mean,
probably are hanging their hats on the fact that at least it's July and not September.
sorry, I have to keep an eye on these dogs, which is not making for good viewing if anybody is watching right now, but my apologies. But, oh, hi, Siri. Anyway, I remember just like sitting there, and it just like my face kind of just went from a neutral, like,
I followed it on Twitter and I saw the usual people running around with their hair on fire, and understandably so. And even some people that usually don't run around with their hair on fire, they were running around with their hair on fire.
It was like, I don't know.
It was rough.
And people are trying to pass it. I think the most
it was rough
bullshit we heard after the fact was, you are being basically mean to, a guy with a stutter. And I'm like, we've seen his stutter. This is not his stutter. Plenty of people have a stutter. We know what that's like. We know what his is like. This isn't it. This is a man who is having issues cognitively, trying to keep his thoughts in order. And it happens to a lot of people. And I don't think it's right to say, ooh, this is bad. This person sucks because he can't do it. If it's like a regular person, I don't think it's right to judge people or make fun of them because they have cognitive issues. But this is the job interview. And if you can't handle the essential functions of the job, you shouldn't be doing it. And it's like when you talk about workplace discrimination and like failure to hire for discriminatory purposes, like for older age people with disabilities, like a stutter or like a cognitive disability.
Yeah.
The test is, it's not whether you didn't hire them because they had it, but is them having the problem going to interfere with the essential functions of the job? And the fact is that if he has cognitive issues, it's not a moral failing. He can't do the job. And this was bad. I mean, this was really bad.
And for me, it was more the fact that it was the fact that, yes, I did hear people whose hair does not normally light on fire for a goddamn thing run around like their hair was on fire. And I was like, and this is where, and finally I decided to watch the rebroadcast myself, and was it unsettling? Yes. Was it a case of, for me, it was a case of, do I think that there was a intersection of a bunch of shitty factors? Possibly. Does that mean that we should not have a legit conversation about Biden's age? Yeah, but on the other hand, we've established that in the Trump White House, they were giving out Adderall like candy. We established a lot of shit.
Good old Dr. Ronnie really kept it going.
Like I said, and for me, it was just a case of, is this the man? I'm like, okay, so we've got a man who has probably encountered his first really bad cognitive day in what will be the first of many, versus an absolutely somebody that we already know is mentally losing it, finally having a good day. And that's where it comes to the FBI versus the Unabomber paradox. You have to remember that in chasing the Unabomber, which took the FBI, 30-something years?
It was a long fucking time.
It was, multiple decades.
Was so much that when people finally saw I still remember the wanted picture illustration of the Unabomber versus the real thing, and it's just like,
and you're just like, it was like the picture on the internet versus when you finally meet them off of OkCupid. Yeah. But it's the case where the FBI has to be right every single fucking time. Unabomber only got to be right once.
Yeah.
That's what you have to hold in your other hand when balancing out the performance. You have to realize Trump probably, this is his own, he walked into this knowing that this was his only debate.
Yeah.
He knows he's not going to say yes to another one.
And
if he's smart.
Some of the defenses of Biden's performance too, because they're worth parsing, especially for how pointed and insulting they were to all of our intelligence. And one of them was, I mean, Trump was also terrible. He's got cognitive issues. He's a compulsive liar. No one's telling him that, this is a bad thing. And I'm like, Yes, but Trump's audience and the Democratic audience are very different.
Two
Trump
different
is a
people,
fascist strongman who has a built-in audience that will not leave him no matter
no
what.
matter what.
Appeals to his better decency to step
Don't
aside are
exist.
fruitless. There's
They
no,
don't exist.
and even if he got up there and shit his pants on live TV,
And he may have, for all we know or care.
yeah, like even if he had performed just as horribly as Biden as far as cognitive ability, his audience is not going anywhere. Whereas Biden's audience, on the other hand, is a lot more malleable.
And it's a lot, and it's made up of people who have who are not just thinking about the fact that I'm white, I'm angry, and I want everyone to pay for my own personal shortcomings.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Trump's audience is a one-dimensional grievance tank.
And to be said, when I say it's insulting, I don't mean everybody who said that is being deliberately insulting, and I don't mean that
And
it's
Lord
insulting.
knows that
I mean
I don't.
there are flavors of it because
And the thing is, there are people who are who I wouldn't say I'm defending his performance. I'm more looking at the broader context and going, okay, if they know what they're doing, they can spin this, and this will not be as vicious as we think it's going to be. That's if you spin it right.
The other defense
Or
that really
if you
infuriated me came a little later, where it was the idea that Biden showed up the next day to a rally and he was doing great.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, it's a midday rally with a teleprompter and he's doing great. But you hear like these news articles coming out where staffers are talking about like he does great. He's on fire between 10 and 4, and then he tends to slow down after that. Like there's a term for that. There is a term for that. It's called sundowning. We've been saying
the thing is, and everyone knows that Trump usually has his rallies during the midday too. So let's all be honest here.
I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding of audiences and voter behavior when it comes to a lot of the defenses of Biden's performance coming around, because a lot of people want to put Biden against Trump as if it's 1-to-1, and the audiences are different. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Trump's audience is inbuilt. It is
these are what people need to understand is that there is something that I think Black voters understand intrinsically, but have not yet found the words to say it. And that is the 30% rule. We already know that there are 30% of people that will gladly watch us die. They'll cheer it on. They might even hand somebody the knife or the rope. And then there's that 30% that's just going to watch and secretly approve. Then there's going to be the 30% that we don't know what the fuck they gonna do.
I think, whatever your thoughts are on Louis C.K., he's very insightful about a lot of things. And
I'm assuming he said something similar?
Well, one of the things he said in a similar vein was, it's really easy for people to pretend that they have great morals when they compare them to the morals of the past. Like to say that, well, if I were back then, I wouldn't own slaves. Well, it's easy to say because you can't own slaves right
now. But what's about to happen is, if things go the way they're going to go, are you going to lie for your coworker who went out of town for 3 weeks? I mean, many of us will.
Because right now I am on the record on video that is going to be on the internet and could possibly be used as evidence as a future date of me saying I would, but I'm just, for the record, I'm speaking in hypotheticals.
Hypothetically, would you, if you are in the bathroom and somebody who looks like they are halfway through a transition comes in, are you going to say something?
Wouldn't before?
Are you? Or are you going to just simply, when she asks, hey, can I borrow a tissue? Are you just going to shut the fuck up and hand her a tissue like the nice person that you think you are?
I
I mean,
If I am in
let's
the
be
bathroom
honest
and
here.
someone comes up to me and asks me for anything aside from money, because that's weird. We can
Yeah, no one does.
exchange money outside of the
Yeah.
bathroom because that's weird. Um, Someone asked for some gum, tissue, whatever. You can have whatever I got. I don't really carry anything into the bathroom, so that'd be weird if I had something. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, like if someone asks you, in other words, if someone asks for a non-monetary sanitary item in the bathroom, are you going to be like, "Hey, you don't look like you belong here," or are you going to just say, "Yeah, I got you"? Like this is, and the thing is, I think what it is I think white America has to come to the idea that the death that nice needs to die. Nice needs to die. I am tired of fuck being nice. Being a nice person. I'm sure there were plenty of German housewives that thought they were nice people. But being nice ain't shit. Be a good person.
Yeah.
And sometimes being good doesn't mean, and sometimes being good is not nice, and being good is not law abiding sometimes. And being good means you might have to look the other way while somebody kills a bitch.
I mean, a perfect example of the opposite of that, people who are nice but not good. I'll never forget the teeth clenched hospitality I got at this one place in North Carolina.
I believe it.
And, you know, it's just sort of like, I don't know. Nice doesn't mean good. Good doesn't mean nice. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
time we
like
stop dealing with the idea that we need to be polite and that we need to have respect for institutions.
apple carts are made to be turned over. Maybe this is the time, maybe no matter who wins, this is the Christmas that you decide to start a fight. Maybe y'all need to, maybe, listen, white people, maybe y'all need to start fights at Christmas. Give the cops something to do.
It's I want to start fights every day, but then I remember
Yeah.
that, like, it's just like, what do I gain from the fight? Because I'm not going to change this person's mind.
Facts.
Like, if there's an audience, I might stand my ground, but if it's just like a one-on-one
Yeah.
conversation, I'm like, you know what? I value my
Yeah.
own safety and my sanity, so I'm just gonna let this person believe in bullshit, and just walk away. My
I
gosh,
think
how did
there I think there's always room that, yes, there may be some times where you don't have to go in guns a blazing, but I always believe, I don't know if I ever told you this, but all the times I would fight people on the message boards, it was never really about winning the argument. It was always about providing a paper trail of this is why. Never about winning the argument, though I'm sure I won quite a few.
I walked away from a sort of like this kind of situation recently where someone was like, we weren't even talking about broader issues. We were just talking about the volume of civilian casualties in Gaza. And
Yeah.
like the line was like, well, Israel keeps telling them, where to go, and they don't go anywhere. I don't have
Where are they supposed to go?
like, first of all, how do you outrun, like, it's really hard to outrun like 1-ton bombs, unguided, dumb 1-ton bombs. The other part is like, if they are bombing places where they tell you to go already, like that's, but it's like, there's no dealing with the broader issues when you can't even.
Yeah, for me, it's more the idea of, now I'm refining it to, do you believe collective punishment is wrong? You do? Then why the fuck are we co-signing Israel doing it to Gaza?
It's like, I go back to
Israel
like,
doing to
I
Palestinians?
very obviously and have repeatedly condemned Hamas because they are condemnable. They
Yeah.
targeted civilians specifically and killed civilians specifically, slaughtered them. That is condemnable. That is a war crime. But when I get into these discussions, if it starts like, it was another one recently on Twitter where someone says, like, you won't even condemn Hamas, not to mention the fact that I already said Hamas committed war crimes in that conversations. They said, you won't even condemn Hamas. At that point, when that comes up, I said, my condemnation of Hamas is conditioned upon your condemning the IDF. And it's not because I don't condemn Hamas, because I do. But for the purposes of that conversation, we're not going to get anywhere if we're not going to have that.
For me, it's more the fact of we just have to unlearn a lot of the Sunday school shit that we were taught. And some of that does include the fact that that maybe they're more alike than we thought. No one wants to admit that. It's like, but the IDF is the most moral army in the world. Bish, where?
They're at least as moral as we are, you know?
I'm like, you can go on TikTok. You can go on TikTok and find Israelis, like, at least American soldiers only had Vine.
Oh, God. You can only record so many war crimes in 7 seconds.
At least American soldiers only had Vine, y'all.
And I think Lindy England and all them only had like a point and shoot, you know?
Exactly. Like I said, at least American soldiers, all they had was a Kodak fun size camera and Vine.
And I would say, like, the Israeli army probably is more moral than the United States military because there's no way Israel could ever kill that many Cambodians.
I was gonna say it's smaller, but yeah, and Israel doesn't have a beef with Cambodia yet.
I don't know.
Like I said, I mean, Maldives is already recognizing Israel, and despite the fact that Jamaica has one of the
fuck off of that.
And despite the fact that Jamaica has one of 5 white sand floor synagogues in the world, they're just saying, yeah, no, we recognize Palestine. Thank you.
And besides, I think
after the rest of
if Israel really wanted to get rid of Hamas, they should just tell the United States that that Hamas was just democratically elected as a socialist government. And
aren't they?
I mean, they're not. I don't think they're socialist. I mean, they definitely ran on, among other things, like more economic, like a better economic world for Gaza because they were under the blockade. But of course, that last election was what 20? No.
Yeah, that last election was. I didn't have gray hair when that last election happened. Mm-hmm. I was still dating straight men when that last election happened.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, to go back to the debate performance, like there's no getting around it. Biden has been. I think what's worse has been the sort of after the way that they're going after the people that have rightly seen how terrible they. Because this was the worst debate performance I have seen since Lincoln Chafee and the Democratic primaries in 2016, and that was bad. But at least
I didn't even know. I guess Lincoln Chafee did run. I don't know.
He was so bad that basically one of the first questions was why he cast this really terrible vote, and it basically was his answer was basically it was my first day and my dad just died. Come on, man.
That's
like you have to see it to believe it. Lincoln Chafee debate. He was terrible. He was.
I have to look this up because that sounds.
And the thing is, at least he was coherent. If Weasley, Biden was fucking terrible. And I think what's awful is the statements coming out from campaign surrogates in the campaign. One of which referred to people who are rightly concerned as bedwetters, which, first of all, Joe, a man your age shouldn't be criticizing other people as bedwetters because statistically...
But then again, it's probably where he would say takes one to know one, etc., etc. I said it.
It's just, it's excessively insulting, and I think that people who said Biden, yet another thing that I just remembered was some people saying, like, this is not the time for this. Where was this Biden needs to step aside a year ago? And I'm like, bitch, everyone was saying when he said he was running again that he shouldn't. Like, a lot of people were saying it. a lot of people said he shouldn't. This should be.
Yeah, people had it was a conversation people were having.
It wasn't universal, but it was pretty.
No, it was not. By no means it was not universal.
So, I think you can have different opinions. You can say, no, we need to stay the course because it would do more damage, him stepping aside.
That's what that's what the prognosticators are saying. They're saying that they're honest. They're saying, what I'm hearing is some of the prognosticators are saying this. Oh no, that performance was fucking horrible. But you want to know what would be more horrible? Dropping him and then just throwing somebody else in there. That would be even worse.
That at least I can seen as an idea that is capable of being refuted, because at least it is a good faith idea and theory.
That is, and that to a degree is where I'm at, where I'm looking at it like, nope, dismissing him now and then replacing him at this point after Clinchmas, nah.
I think that when more polling comes out, because some of the preliminary polling that is coming out,
if it is to be believed,
there's a possibility of leaked internal Democratic polling that I'm not going to bring up because we don't know if it's real. But that polling is bad if it's real.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
not, immediate aftermath CNN polling has shown that a majority, like a vast majority of Democratic voters, think that Biden is not capable of performing the duties of president.
That's what, and that's what a lot of people are saying, and that's something that has been uttered. Yeah. For me, it's more a matter of, well, we are here now.
It is, but I don't think that is. I don't think that we need to be, and I think this is where you and I have a fundamental, if honest and good faith disagreement on the matter. I think that it would do less damage to change him than it would be to keep him.
Well, for me, it would seem. I think it would be more damage to get rid of him than to keep him. I think it's a case of. Also, for me, it's also I don't think everybody, because what happens is that some of the people who want to replace him want to replace the whole, rip out everything down to the stud. And I'm like, so you saying get rid of Kamala too? Okay, now I want to have a conversation about your motives.
I think that Kamala Harris should be up at the convention with anybody else who wants the job, and I think that she should not be. There's two things. Whoever, if Biden steps down, gets the nod, needs to win the nod. They cannot be handed it, and they cannot have it taken away in secret in a deal. So if they give it to Kamala Harris, she can't be given. It can't be given to her. She has to win it, and I think she would. She also can't have it given to someone else. If they bypass her and give it to someone else,
then it gets awkward, and no one has a good time.
With her, she's already vice president, and she's next in the line of succession. So at least
and no one would have a good time. It would suck.
I think that Kamala Harris has the best chance of winning, and I know that there's a lot of people who say, "Oh,
and I know that there's a lot of
unlikables," and it's just like,
and I know that for a lot of people, they have to deal with their own misogynoir and their own fuck shit. And I mean, this is the point where I'm going to be honest. I don't like the idea of losing. I don't like the idea of losing Biden, but this is where I would probably say, fuck it. I'd be pulling. This is where if I had to, and I hope God forbid, hope I'm not speaking this into existence. I think I would finally pull. It would be premature, but I'd be pulling the trigger on the dream my fever dream ticket.
I don't remember, to be honest.
It's either Harris Shapiro or Harris Buttigieg.
And it's one of those things where, like, Buttigieg, much like Harris, they all come with their baggage and negativity. Mm-hmm. And it's funny to me how some people are willing to, like, Buttigieg, it's the McKinsey connection.
And I know people have a lot of thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, it was Harris, some of her questionable prosecutorial discretion as AG, but frankly, when we're talking about replacing Biden, if people are going to call Harris a cop, Biden is way more a cop. I know he wasn't an AG, but he was way more of a cop, responsible for so much mass incarceration and property confiscation and all these other aspects of like what you would call the police state, if you want to call it a police, the police state, or at least the the effects of the war on drugs and over incarceration and things like that. Biden is way more responsible for it than Kamala Harris was, frankly. So if you're going to like level the authorities, like, all right, if Biden steps down, all right, I want Biden, but if it can't be Biden, then I don't want Harris. Why?
See, now you're understanding why
I get that a lot of leftists don't like her, and if we're talking about a contest of purity, I don't like her either. But I don't like any of them. I don't like her. I don't like Buttigieg. I don't like any of them. I'm like, what you want in the job is the person who best fits your ideology and can build a coalition while still managing to get elected.
And you've got the idea that Buttigieg, at least he's multilingual, and he's multilingual and really can't embarrass you.
Yeah, and people who want to put him over Harris again.
That makes no fucking sense, and I want to beat them.
He was.
I love you, but I want to beat them.
Transportation, like he has the only like. You either want someone with legislative experience or executive experience, and that executive experience, usually you want a governor for that.
Yeah. So listen, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to have to deal with the replacement games at this point. But if we do, let's just keep it in house. Let's just keep it in house, because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And all it would do is that for some people, for some hardcore members of the K-Hive, all it would do is they would just end up crossing out the 28 and replacing it with a 24. Don't play. There are some hardcore K-Hivers who are hardcore Harris Buttigieg hopers. And I don't blame them. All they're going to do is they're going to be like, okay, I guess we're just moving. We're just going to rip the 4 off and rip the 8 off and put a 4. We were hoping for a little more time to prepare the signs, but here we are.
And also we have to contend with like the election and, appointment policies and procedures of all the different states you could possibly pick a new VP from or a new candidate from if you were going to go ahead and here's the deal. I do not want it to be Gavin Newsom in any way, shape, or form.
Nobody wants. I like the fact that Gavin has slipped into his role of surrogate, and I like that for him. I love that for him. Actually,
he's a great surrogate.
Love that for him. I think that's wonderful.
But he's such a slimy shit, and he's so bad on policy. And I don't want him anywhere near the office. And you know what? He would be great as VP because know that if he left the office of governor, it would be another Democrat who gets reelected, probably someone better. Although I forget how much California is pretty damn conservative, but all the same.
Yeah. But like I said, I listen. I love the fact. I love the fact that Newsom is finding his feet as a surrogate. He's doing that. He's doing the things, and I love that for him. I love that journey for him.
I mean, he's really the ultimate policy wonk, and you need that in a vice president. Because yes, pretty much.
Nerd.
And
but you know
what?
Would
also fill that role because you need in a vice president role. You need someone to go and do all the boring policy flash and stuff, like the kind of shit that Katie Porter do in all those committee meetings, which she just embarrassed the shit out of people with all her knowledge about all the
and for all we know, next thing you know, the crazy motherfuckers managed to appoint that crazy girl governor. That would be hilarious. I would pay money to watch that.
After you know what? After her and Barbara Lee losing because Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi are such shitbirds. I think
they are machines. Those are they I love them, but they are machines.
Barbara Lee, I think, if Gavin Newsom left to be vice president, Barbara Lee would make a great governor of California, mostly because as the sole vote against the authorization for use of military force, I feel like she's fucking owed it.
I feel like she's also she's earned it.
Yeah. She's earned it, but she's also owed it.
And also the fact that the first black female governor in the United States would be governor in California? California? That would be like, this would literally become everything that Republicans hate. I mean, think about in our evil days how much we used to shit on California. Just it without thinking, we just shit on California regularly.
God, there's so much I look back on and I'm like, did I really think like that? Like, and again, it goes back to like, it's a combination, of course, of the fact that I know that, I changed with the Republican Party changing, I changed too. Because I saw, like, as my status quo, as the Republican Party's platform drifted further to the right, I saw where I was as already unacceptable in retrospect.
For me, it was more a matter of I saw that the leopard was starving, but was still on its leash.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the leopard is starving. I'm like, y'all not feeding him?
It may yet still eat all our faces because, well, a butterfly ballot flaps its wings in Florida in 2000, and then boom, 24 years later, fascism. Chaos theory.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I thought that was a little clever. I thought
that was actually that's fucking clever and terrifying when you think about it. Great. Now I'm gonna be like Fear Watch 537 votes again. Shout out to Billy Corbin. Shout out to Billy Corbin.
Oh, that Supreme Court fuck shit has been going on for so long. Let's also talk about Biden's, we spent so long on how shitty his debate is. Let's talk a little bit about the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. And I think, you can find a lot of people far more intelligent and well-informed than we are to describe the exact minutia of the decision and why it's so fucking insane. I think what I want to at least drill down on is Biden's reaction to it. Basically says this decision is horrible, and it basically turns a president into a king. And
okay, what do you want to do?
Going to be a tyrant. I'm not going to do anything though, and also I'm not going to expand the court. And malarkey, I dissent. Bleh.
I think it was a case of if I do something. I think it was he saw it as a decision. Like, I think he saw it as if I do something, all that's going to do is it's going to give, God forbid, the next Republican president the authority to do something else.
Already will anyway. I mean,
I'm like, it was a case of
I don't think it's without reason that Biden does nothing, and then the next president expands the court to 13, and then Trump wins and he expands the court to 13. Like, I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility.
No, it's not. I think if I were to walk up to the window at William Hill, I probably would get good numbers on it, and I would probably get good numbers on it, and it would be seen as a respectable bet.
It just I like it's hard not to use like
I think I'm wondering when his faith in institutions will finally break.
For years, people, including myself, referred to John Roberts as an institutionalist.
No, he's not. No.
6 years ago, and I was still referring to him as such because he seemed like a guy who cared about the legacy of the Supreme Court. I believed that.
I didn't. I'm going to be honest. I never really believed that because...
I'm not above admitting that I believe stupid shit. In fact, that's the entire point of wanting to start the show was because I believe...
We believe some stupid shit.
Yeah.
I admit me believing that John Roberts was an institutionalist. Not really. I think it was probably some of his other civil rights votes that made me go, nah, he not. He not. He only thinks he is, but he's not. And, I mean... He's very comfortable with the court becoming a jack shack for corporate interests and various diet fascists. Yes, I said jack shack. I said what I said. Not taking it back.
Why does it just remind me of that bit in It's Always Sunny about the guy who comes in to wipe down the loads?
Because, I mean, like I said, he's more than happy with turning the court into a jack shack for people who are willing to pay to play.
I don't know. Well, I mean, with Alito, it seems like he just does it for the love of the game. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, I think he genuinely just hates other. I think he just hates the idea that there are people who do not think like him, who have found joy in their lives, and he doesn't
And I think the
understand
same
it.
thing can be said of Amy Coney Barrett. Whereas with Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, who bought your property? Who paid off your debts?
Yeah, they're just in it for the money. They are literally just in it for the money. People paid them off, and they're just paying them back.
Yeah.
And Clarence Thomas is just hurt. No, like Clarence Thomas is literally a victim of colorism. He's a victim of he's a victim of anti-Southern prejudice. He's a victim of a lot of things that as a Black man, he takes even harder. And now he's taking it out on everyone else.
But it's just like the stories about the very like Clarence Thomas and like Candace Owens are both the victims of well-documented racism and sort of horribleness that happened to them. And I think the way that the right, I'm not trying to downplay their agency.
No,
in
you're
any
not.
respect, but they are all the same.
But I think of them as a victim of any sort, the same way I would think of any victim of any sort of violence. Some people who will become victims of violence become like the person that violated them in order to get back their strength and their weight and autonomy and a say over their situation.
It's when when the left,
because I think of
turns on Candace Owens and Clarence Thomas and Caitlyn Jenner and Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel's a billionaire, so he'll be he'll
be one of the last people.
Yeah, because they still need his money.
Well, maybe think about Richard Grinnell. I mean, it's already been turned on Milo Yiannopoulos, but he hasn't let go though.
Well, he's a poor. So
he's a what?
He's a poor. I was trying to do the Anna, whatever her fucking name is.
Yeah, that's true. He was the novelty toy that just ended up getting remaindered at the Goodwill.
Also, he's a little too much. Like,
this is true.
There is, even for a token, he was too much.
This is true. This is very true.
Like, there's a certain level of you're supposed to be one of those suit and tie gays if you're gonna be a gay token for the Republican Party.
You have to be a certain type. Like, what people need to understand is for gay men, that is probably that is the US track team of tokenism. It is one of the hardest teams to get into.
If you are cisgender white male, you're gonna
preferably
make it
with military,
if you're gay and rich, and you really push the company line.
And you have to marry someone who is also white, cisgendered, and they have to have a military background, or else you're.
Because I noticed they don't say the same shit about Peter Thiel as they do about Pete Buttigieg. So it's just like, this isn't some principled. We're an inclusive party because look, a gay. It just is. It's
It's also and you got to be, and as a white gay male, you do have to be a touch racist.
Obviously,
just a soupçon of racism.
It certainly works if you're part of this generation. If your previous generations are, see. I'm just going to say there's something with South Carolina senators.
Oh, Miss Lindsay.
I'm not, both of them have the same.
Okay, now you're saying both of them?
Mhm,
Not one, both of them.
mhm.
And I'm saying it with its full southernness. Both of them. So you think that nice little lady that the other one's engaged to, that's just a
I
setup?
think. I think that I'm trying to come up with a trimmed beard pun. I can't. Just the point is
The beard was going to get trimmed once they announce the vice presidential selection, and it's not him.
And I don't know why he thinks it will, because Trump loves loyalty, he loves suck-ups, but he hates obsequiousness. He thinks it makes you weak. And that is why Chris Christie was never vice president.
Yeah.
He wanted it too bad.
But now I'm wondering who it's going to be.
J.D. Vance.
I think that's a very strong opinion. That's actually it's Ohio.
He comes with venture capital money, and he's from Ohio. Like, he is.
Yeah, and he's an Ivy, and he's an author. He doesn't pretend. There's no pretense of manliness, and there's no pretense of manliness, and he's married to a woman of color, so they can't call him racist.
Still will.
I mean, he probably is. Let's all be honest with ourselves.
I mean, he I like it, it's just, he's got access to a lot of venture capital money. He is from a swing state, although how much it is a swing state, given that the Democrats have seemed to have abandoned Ohio, is a problem.
Much
and frankly, because
abandoned Florida.
Nome basically took herself out of the race by just being a colossal idiot, revealing herself to be just a sociopath. Like, even Trump, who doesn't even like dogs, thinks, "Wow, she's crazy."
She's crazy and not crazy, and not crazy and crazy. I'd like to fuck either, but no, maybe he was still. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nah, she took herself out of the running, so I think J.D. Vance is the secondary.
I think
there's always the case to be made that he might go with Tim Scott, but I think he sees Tim Scott as more of just
I don't see him going with Tim Scott as much as Tim Scott sees him going with him.
I think Trump genuinely believes he's doing great with black voters.
Yes,
I think he genuinely believes that.
Yes, he does.
I don't think he sees
100%. No, I 100% believe that because he got arrested and he has a mug shot, he 100% believes that and the gold sneakers, he 100% thinks that he's doing better with black voters than he actually is. What it is he needs to understand that that people need to understand this. Trump is also a symbol of, I'm going to use this term, I've used it before, aspirational misogyny. He treats women the way many men would love to treat women.
Yeah, I mean,
and
an element of that's why.
And many black men are honest enough with themselves to be like, he treats bitches the way I want to treat bitches. He treats white bitches the way I wish I could treat white bitches. But and the fact that the Democratic Party has managed to the fact that black women have managed to walk into the Democratic Party, build their spot at the table, and have their spot at the table become integrated, does hurt on an ego level. And I know that Trump's people see that. Because if I can see it, I know they see it.
I mean, it's the reason why they like with it's ironic that the Republican Party rails so hard against DEI. And I have my own problems with DEI because really it's an excuse for companies to not do anything and make it look like they're doing something.
That part, yes, that
But
is a
like
conversation that should be had.
Republicans hate it because they think, I mean, I think it was
They
Charlie
think it
Kirk
means
said-
they think it means giving black people something they didn't earn, and Lord knows they hate that shit, even though the group of people that mostly benefit from this is white women.
So, but it's ironic that the party who rails against DEI is the party that gives a disproportionate platform to groups that support them so little. It's like, oh, we have very, very little support among black voters, so let's put out as many black spokespeople as we can. Like, I'm sorry, but isn't that like isn't that the
Here's
thing?
the thing, like when I was the thing is, it seemed a lot less disingenuous back during the Bush era because Bush was enough of a churchgoer and cultural Christian that we let that shit go.
And like, again, like going back, like Caitlyn Jenner getting like all these appearances on Fox. I'm like, if this were pre-transition and Caitlyn Jenner had never transitioned, would she be a regular on Fox?
Possibly as who she used to be.
Then again,
maybe not.
Then again, they do give always Kid Rock and Ted Nugent and
exactly
D-level and C-level celebrities.
She was an Olympic decathlete. It is entirely possible that nothing would have changed as far as her amount of appearances.
Okay, that is a fair point. I kind of forget that they really put whatever, like Dean Cain and Dean
Cain hurts my spirit on a certain level.
Who was the fucker who was Hercules again? What the hell was his name?
Kevin Sorbo, but yeah, Dean Cain still hurts. Dean Cain hurts my spirit on a certain level. It hurts my spirit.
At least the celebrities that we know there are certain celebrities that we know are conservative and don't run their fucking mouth, like Alice Cooper or Gary Sinise.
Yeah, like okay, he's off into the ether. Like Gary Sinise is off into the ether mourning his son. Good for it. I'm here for it. I don't like the fact that you lost your child, sir, and I can actually be human enough to say that. But you know what? We're glad that you are focusing on what you're focusing on and leaving this shit alone. I feel like he's just waiting for the whole Trumpism thing to blow over. Like he's like, I want no parts of that. I don't know them like that. Which is cute. It's cute. It's cute.
Well, I think we've said all that we can say about this cluster fuck of a week.
It's only going to get worse from here, y'all.
We didn't even touch on Chevron because the debate performance was so bad and there was an infinitely worse Supreme Court decision. But it's just been... It's
that kind of week, and it's been a long week, y'all.
Yeah. But, well, that'll be that for now. We will be back. Hopefully, there will be something good to say next time.
Maybe. I mean,
I would really like for this show to be about minor complaints and grievances and not just a series of us going, oh, God, what's going to happen?
I'm just hoping. I hope that that Jimmy Carter will be able to be wheeled past Donald Trump's coffin, even if he's barely coherent for it.
I hope they don't bring out Jimmy Carter as Biden's replacement. And with that, everybody, that'll be the end of the show. Have a good night. We will see you next week. And this just in, David Zaslav also still alive some fucking how.
Honestly, with the Supreme Court decision,